At the end of year party, my coworker toasted to our favorite overachiever, always working late, always missing the point. As everyone laughed, he added, seriously, she works harder, not smarter, bless her little heart. I stayed silent, waited 2 weeks, then turned in my resignation letter, directly to his biggest client, who immediately canceled their contract after hearing why I was leaving. I don't know if I'll ever forget the way they laughed. Not the awkward kind. Not polite laughter. Real laughter, the kind where people lean back in their chairs, hold their drinks to keep from spilling. They laughed at me. It happened at our company's end-of-year party in downtown Nashville. We're a mid-sized supply chain management firm, not glamorous, but solid. We handle logistics for retailers across the country, mostly B2B stuff. I've worked there for 6 years. I'm 34, no kids, no spouse, live alone. I'm not flashy. I'm not loud. But I work hard. Always have. It's how I was raised. My dad worked in a machine shop. My mom did payroll at a grocery chain. They didn't talk about ambition, they talked about doing your damn job. I guess that stuck with me. So when I joined Brenson's supply chain group, I kept my head down and just worked. Took notes. Solved problems. Said yes to overtime. I didn't network much. I didn't go to happy hours. But when something broke or a client got upset, I was the one they called. And I always fixed it. That's probably why nobody ever saw this coming. Now let's talk about Mitch. Mitch joined about a year after me. He was the type who played golf with clients, made everyone laugh in meetings, never took notes, and somehow always got credit. You know the type. Good hair, white teeth, expensive cologne. He'd show up 20 minutes late to the Monday meeting with a Starbucks in one hand and a story about how he saved the company thousands in a last-minute deal. None of it ever had receipts. And guess who handled the back end when his big win turned into a mess? Me. Every time. I'd stay late fixing his errors. I'd call freight carriers after hours. I'd walk down to the warehouse to sort out his mislabeled shipments. And I never complained. Not once. I thought being the quiet, dependable one would eventually earn me something. A raise. A promotion. Just respect. Instead, I got a toast. Here's what happened. Our company was hosting this holiday party at a hotel downtown. It was fancier than usual because Mitch's biggest client, FitPro, a national sporting goods retailer, was sponsoring it. Mitch brought that account in 2 years ago, through an old college buddy. That account kept our whole team busy. It paid for our salaries. It paid for the party. So everyone was in a good mood. Free drinks, food, music. I didn't want to go, but our VP basically said I should. That the team wanted to recognize me for going above and beyond this quarter. I showed up in a black dress I bought on clearance and heels that hurt. I stayed quiet, smiled when needed, and made small talk with a few people from billing. Then someone tapped their glass. Toasts were starting. The VP gave a short speech. Thanked the clients. Thanked the staff. Called out a few names, mine included. Said I'd worked hard this year. It was generic, but fine. Then Mitch stood up. He had a whiskey in one hand and that smug smile on his face. He was a little tipsy. You could tell by the way he swayed slightly. I just want to say a few words, he said. To our MVP, Maddie. People clapped. I felt my stomach twist. She's the glue of our team. Always here late. Always double-checking. Always doing all the boring stuff the rest of us avoid. Some laughter. I smiled, tight-lipped. Then he kept going. She works late, misses happy hour, never complains. Always grinding. And somehow, always missing the point. That got a louder laugh. I felt my face burn. And hey, he said, raising his glass higher, she works harder, not smarter, bless her little heart. That one brought the house down. People laughed. My boss laughed. Mitch's client laughed. I just stood there, smiling like a damn idiot, while they laughed at me like I was some joke. It felt like I was underwater. My ears were ringing. No one said anything. No one told him to stop. Not even the VP. Not even HR. I left 10 minutes later. Didn't finish my drink. Didn't say goodbye. Mitch texted me later that night, no hard feelings, right? Just some fun. You're awesome, Maddie. I didn't reply. But I didn't forget. 2 weeks later, I scheduled a meeting. Not with my boss. Not with HR. With Brian Templeton, the Regional Operations Director for FitPro. Mitch's prized client. The same guy who laughed at the toast. He thought I was reaching out to talk about a delayed shipment. Instead, I asked to meet in person. A quiet cafe in East Nashville. He showed up wearing a blazer and FitPro polo, all smiles. So what's up? I slid an envelope across the table. My resignation letter. He frowned. You don't work for me. I know, I said. But your account runs through our department. And it runs through Mitch. And I think you need to know the truth about what's actually going on. He looked confused. I opened my laptop. Showed him 6 months of documentation. Emails. Internal logs. Error reports. Reshipment orders. All of them linked to Mitch. All of them fixed by me. Every time he closed a deal, I was the one cleaning up the mess. Then I said, and 2 weeks ago, you laughed while he mocked me in front of the entire department. You didn't know what you were laughing at. But you were laughing at the person who actually kept your account from falling apart. He looked, stunned. Then guilty. I'm leaving Brenson, I told him. I won't be around to fix things anymore. Just thought you should know who you're really doing business with. I stood up, left the envelope, and walked out. No goodbye. No second chances. I thought that was the end. But it wasn't. I didn't hear anything for a few days. Honestly, I expected nothing. Maybe an awkward email. Maybe a passive-aggressive reply from Mitch. Maybe HR would schedule a check-in to remind me to stay professional. But that's not what happened. Instead, on the 3rd day after my meeting with Brian, I got a phone call from Kelsey, one of the junior account managers at Brenson. She sounded nervous. Did you hear? She asked. Hear what? FitPro pulled out. Cancelled their contract. Completely. Effective immediately. I felt my chest tighten. You're serious? She sighed. I was in the room. Brian called our VP directly. Told him he didn't like how things were being handled. Said the partnership no longer aligned with their values. That's how he phrased it. I didn't know what to say. Kelsey lowered her voice. They're blaming Mitch. Upper management is freaking out. That account paid for half our department's budget. He's in a meeting right now, door's been closed for over an hour. I thanked her and hung up. My hands were shaking. I didn't feel satisfied. Not yet. I felt something else. Tense. On edge. Because it wasn't over. The next day, I got a text from Mitch. You went to my client? Are you ing serious? Then. You're blowing this way out of proportion. It was a joke. You've ruined everything. You think they'll hire you after this? I didn't respond. That night, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. It was his wife. I listened to it twice. She said she didn't know what happened at the party, but Mitch came home drunk, shouting about how some bitch ruined his career. She sounded tired. Said they had a baby on the way. Said he wasn't sleeping. I sat on my couch for a long time after that. I didn't feel good. I didn't feel bad either. I just felt done. Until the email came. It was from one of the senior partners at a rival logistics firm. Someone I'd met once during a vendor conference years ago. He'd heard about what happened. Word travels fast in supply chain, especially when a massive account like FitPro suddenly jumps ship. He didn't just want to offer me a job. He wanted to know if I'd be willing to bring over any clients who'd followed me. That part hit me hard. Because I'd never thought of myself that way, as someone with pull. I was the background worker. The invisible one. But now I realized something: I'd earned trust. Quietly. Over years. And people were noticing. But not everyone was celebrating. 3 days before my last day at Brenson, HR called me in. They'd heard I'd been talking to clients directly. That I might be encouraging them to cut ties. It was laughable. They had no proof. I'd done everything by the book. But the threat was clear: they wanted to paint me as the problem. They were scrambling. Trying to protect Mitch. Or at least the memory of Mitch. He was already gone. Let go. Quietly. No announcement. No email. Just vanished. And now they were scared I might take others with me. I didn't say much in that meeting. Just smiled and nodded. Told them I looked forward to my final paycheck. Later that night, I got another call. From a woman named Taryn. She was the account manager for one of our other big clients, a packaging company based in St. Louis. She said, "Maddie, I heard you're leaving. Tell me where you're going." I hesitated. "Why?" "Because we want to go with you." I didn't respond right away. My heart was racing. She said, "We always knew you were the one holding things together." Then she said something else. Something that changed everything. "We never trusted Mitch. But we stayed because of you." I sat there in the dark, listening to the silence after she hung up. This wasn't revenge anymore. This was something bigger. And it was only just starting. After that call from Taryn, everything shifted. I started getting more emails. Quiet ones. Off the record. Account managers. Warehouse leads. Even someone from the billing team. People I'd worked with, helped, defended. They were checking in, asking where I was going next. Dropping hints that they weren't loyal to Brenson, they were loyal to whoever actually made the work bearable. And that wasn't the company. It was me. I didn't expect that. I didn't even want it, at first. I thought I just wanted out. I thought my quiet act of revenge would be done once I walked away and started somewhere fresh. But now it felt different. I wasn't walking away from a broken system. I was becoming the threat to it. The partner at the rival firm, Mark Kinsey, reached out again. He said he had a proposal. Not just a job. A leadership role. He wanted me to build a new logistics team from scratch. Said he had the budget and needed someone unshakable. He offered a signing bonus that made me double-check the number. But I didn't say yes. Not yet. Because something about it felt unfinished. Brenson tried to smear me quietly. I heard through Kelsey that upper management was telling people I'd violated confidentiality. That I'd poisoned the FitPro relationship. That I'd gone rogue. I still had access to our internal systems. My final logins weren't cut off yet. So I downloaded everything. Emails. Chat threads. Client handoffs. Shipment logs. A clean record of 6 years of my work, and the mess I cleaned up. Especially Mitch's mistakes. Then I found something else. A report from last year that had been revised. It was a client retention audit. Every quarter, we analyzed how accounts were performing and who was managing what. The original version had me listed as lead operations contact on 4 key clients. But in the revised version, the one that was sent to the executive board, my name had been replaced with Mitch's. That was the moment I realized this went deeper. This wasn't just Mitch being a jerk. This was someone, maybe more than one person, actively hiding my work and propping him up. And I knew who. Shelley, the director of accounts. She and Mitch were close. Too close. Rumors had floated for a while, but no one had proof. She was the one who fast-tracked his promotions. Shielded him from consequences. Laughed the loudest at the party. I sent myself copies of the reports. Saved the metadata. The timestamps. I didn't go to HR. I didn't go to legal. I didn't need to. Instead, I set up a meeting with Kinsey again. This time, I brought everything. I showed him not just what I'd done, but what Brenson had covered up. He leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Then he said, "You realize what this is, right? This is leverage." I nodded. "I know." He said, "Let's use it." We spent the next 2 days drafting an offer, one I'd take to select clients. The pitch was clean, a new firm. Same service. Same reliability. Only now, it's run by the person who actually did the work. No fluff. No cover-ups. No politics. I sent it to 5 clients. Carefully chosen. Trusted. Loyal. 3 replied within 24 hours. 2 said they were ready to move, just give them a start date. 1 asked for a meeting with legal. Then came the phone call. Not from Brenson. From Shelley. Her voice was cold. Controlled. "I don't know what you think you're doing," she said. "But this isn't going to end well for you." I didn't say much. Just let her talk. She went on about NDAs, company loyalty, how I was damaging relationships. She even tried to guilt-trip me, said Mitch was in a bad place and I'd ruined his future. Then she made a mistake. She said, "We were protecting you. You weren't ready for more." That lit something in me. "You were protecting me?" I said slowly. "Were protecting yourselves?" Click. She hung up. 2 hours later, my email access was cut. 3 hours after that, I got a cease and desist letter from Brenson's legal team. I read every line. It was rushed, sloppy, full of assumptions. They thought I was bluffing. They thought I didn't have proof. They thought wrong. I didn't respond to the letter. I sent a copy of the falsified client report, both versions, to Brenson's board of directors. Along with a polite cover letter. No accusations. Just facts. And I waited. Because this wasn't just about Mitch anymore. This was about the whole system that allowed him to rise, and pushed people like me down. And I was going to burn the whole thing down from the outside. It took 3 days before anyone from Brenson responded. Not an apology. Not an explanation. Instead, the board sent a follow-up email, thanking me for my transparency and saying they were conducting an internal review. I knew what that meant. They were scared. I also knew it wouldn't stop with a review. So I waited. Meanwhile, the rival firm, Kinsey's, helped fast-track the launch of a new client division. I was no longer just accepting a job. I was building a new business under their roof. They gave me full control. Hired the team I wanted. Set me up with 2 assistants and a project manager within a week. Then, the storm hit Brenson. One of the board members, an older guy named Mel with ties to a few major vendors, contacted me directly. Told me the audit documents I sent triggered something bigger. Someone in finance had been waiting for a reason to dig into Shelley's accounts. Turns out, there were bonuses paid under the table. Commission splits that didn't make sense. Internal incentives that bypassed policy. Shelley was suspended. Then quietly fired. No press release. No HR memo. Just gone. But I wasn't done yet. Because 2 weeks later, I received another call. From Brian Templeton, the FitPro regional director. The same guy who laughed at Mitch's speech. He asked for a meeting. I said yes. We met in a plain office. No small talk this time. He looked tired. Real tired. I owe you an apology, he said. I didn't realize how deep it went. I didn't reply. He went on. Told me that since they pulled out from Brenson, he'd heard nothing but panic from their side. Then he said something that surprised me: we're not just switching logistics partners. We're recommending your name to everyone we're partnered with. Not just retailers. Manufacturers. Freight vendors. Everyone. He leaned forward. We want you running this entire region's logistics hub. We want your name on the contracts. I didn't smile. I just nodded. Then I got up and left. I didn't owe him anything more than that. Over the next 3 months, 5 of Brenson's former clients jumped ship. 3 came to me directly. The other 2 were quietly passed over from contacts I hadn't spoken to in years, but who remembered how I treated them. Brenson started bleeding money. They laid off 2 departments. The VP who backed Mitch resigned. The CFO who approved Shelley's bonus packages was let go. Then the final blow hit. A whistleblower complaint was filed. Not by me, someone in accounting. They used my audit as part of their case. Brenson was investigated for financial misconduct, improper invoicing, bonus manipulation, falsified retention reports. Their name started popping up in industry news blogs. Quiet mentions. But enough to kill their trust. Vendors stopped returning calls. New accounts dried up. By Q3, Brenson was absorbed into a bigger firm, pennies on the dollar. No more fancy hotel parties. No more Mitch types walking in and taking credit. As for Mitch, I found out through a mutual contact he moved back in with his parents in North Carolina. Never worked in logistics again. Tried to start a podcast about business strategy, but it flopped after 5 episodes. Last I heard, he was selling used golf clubs on eBay. Shelley? She filed a wrongful termination suit against Brenson. Lost. She'd burned too many bridges to pivot cleanly. She tried starting her own consultancy but couldn't get clients to follow her. Word got around. And me? I didn't come out completely clean. I lost a lot of sleep. My name got dragged through the mud for a while. People questioned my intentions. Said I was being vindictive. Said I could have walked away quietly. Maybe they're right. But I built something better. Honest. Clean. My name's on the contracts now. I make the rules. And I never stayed silent again. So when people toast at our New Year-end parties, they raise their glasses and say, to Maddie. The one who actually runs the show. And everyone means it. No laughter. Just respect.